With 50-plus years of combined produce, supply chain, entrepreneurial, and business experience, Craig Slade and Ed Bertad discuss the impacts of fresh produce on their lives and health. This podcast is a casual conversation between two friends just trying to get better. This is the Fresh Cred.
We are pleased and honored to be joined next by Mr. Andy Hamilton with Markon.
CEO,
CEO of Markon.
Yeah, that's right.
Andrew, thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure. How can you say no to somebody like Craig Slade and Ed Bertad?
Well, it can be done.
Yeah, I was going to say, we had a few no's.
I have a feeling you've actually done it a couple times.
So, yes, Andy, super glad to have you on here, man.
Well, I feel like we've probably done this before, just with at a restaurant or
yes.
in a pickup truck or something else. So.
In an unofficial capacity.
a Chevy Avalanche.
Yeah, indeed. We've had a few conversations, and that's what I tell everybody. The show is really about just that. It's like this whole thing started.
Your Avalanche?
No, not the Avalanche.
Hey,
now.
Avalanche.
Hey, it's paid for.
That's the only thing you remember about the Avalanche. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no. So it was Ed and I talking to each other all the time. Like you and I have our many of conversations, as you said. And it's like, maybe somebody wants to listen to this. I don't know. There's a few people that, believe it or not, there's a few people tuning into this. And with that sexy Georgia voice that you got, I never realized how.
I don't know if that's ever been said in that combination before.
Oh, I'm sure voice. Cindy has said. That is a sexy voice you got there, Andy.
Do you know how sarcastic my wife can get? Maybe in that vein. Dripping with sarcasm, I'm sure.
Well, I'm going to make sure she gets a clip of this, right? So, but no, glad to have you here. This will be fun. The biggest problem is we're so many of these, these interviews as time is precious, right? So we got to get through. But Andy and I, we've had a lengthy career. We've been together a couple of different times. We started at Chiquita together. And one of our fond memories, we've got two, Andy could tell you several stories. I don't think we can talk about the roadies, but the working in the back. So Andy is the most educated probably not, but he's probably the most educated guys that I know in the produce space. So, and
that probably tells you more about the crowd Craig hangs with.
that may be what it speaks to, which Ed's part of my crowd.
Not to disparage Ed in any way, but it does.
I know he's very humble about it, but I've got a good story about the one time that I saw him kind of show his fangs on how smart he really is. But go ahead.
Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe we'll get to that story. That sounds like a good one. So, Georgia Tech grad, engineer, mechanical engineer?
I was an industrial
engineer.
My wife was a mechanical engineer. She makes sure that I remember that.
Okay.
So that's why she gives you a hard time?
There's a pecking order in engineering, and her major is perceived to be, by some,
superior,
more superior, more intellectually rigorous than industrial engineering. At Georgia Tech, they disparagingly called IEs and imaginary engineers. So I've been used to not getting a lot of cred, from way back when.
So well, at North Texas, we didn't even know about engineers, so there was no pecking order because we didn't.
Got to have a school to know the school.
I was gonna say we didn't have any engineers, so we didn't have to worry about that engineering pecking order.
That solves that problem for
exactly. You. So we were just mostly about singing and dancing at my university, which I majored in neither one of those. So
it is a very well-known arts and music school. I think Nora Jones went there, and at my high school in Georgia, I remember a kid who was really talented musically went to North Texas. I can only imagine what kind of experience he had when he got to meet folks like you who weren't necessarily talented in music and arts
or anything.
Maybe that just enhanced the college experience for those guys.
Yeah, I was just there for the color. Yeah, that was it. So.
Cow tipping 101.
Yeah, indeed. We did some of that. But you know what? Hey, me and Joe Green attended. North
did.
Texas. So
Thanks, Joe.
yeah. Did he do the Coke commercial? Was that Mean Joe?
That was Mean Joe.
Yeah,
back in the
he
day.
made Coca-Cola.
We're dating ourselves.
We are.
Really are.
I
But
thought it was Rosie Greer, but okay.
Nope. It
That
was Mean
was-
Joe Green standing
have
in
a
the
Coke, have a
jersey.
Coke and a smile.
Hands,
Oh,
hands the
ad
jersey to the
campaign.
kid. Yeah, for sure. So, all right. So we're not here talking about Mean Joe Green or universities or any of that. So back to my story, and Andy and I tell this. If you've been with Andy and I, and we've rehashed the memory lane, this is always a story, and it's the greatest thing. So Andy's got
Technically, you should say with Andy and me, but if you want to go intellectual on me, that's.
Yeah.
I want to correct your grammar, but I just did.
But you just did.
Yeah,
So thanks.
okay.
This is what it's like hanging with this guy and working with the guy. So, but anyway, we're in the back of this container, and it's in Freeport, Texas.
A shipping container?
A shipping container, yes, with bananas, full of bananas. And this is a young man that, like I say, went to Georgia Tech, got this engineering degree, and me, I was just thankful to get a degree. And we're in the back of this container unloading bananas, looking for R&T product.
Ripe and turning for those not in the know.
And Andy's comment to me as we just got sweat pouring off, he's like, 4 years at Georgia Tech for an engineering degree to be in the back of a banana container sweating my brains out to look at bananas and R&T. Somehow this doesn't make any sense.
He was a little bitter.
Yeah,
wasn't
it's
he?
what it seems like. He said, I'm not sure this was the career path I set out for. So
Yeah, it wasn't exactly a straightforward path, and yeah, it was pretty hot. I
was
do
very
remember
hot.
Freeport is I remember seeing a sign, kind of home of the National Mosquito Festival, and yeah, I can attest there was no kind of, I guess, problem in labeling right there.
Yeah.
they nailed it.
they did
And
have
they were a
some
great candidate for mosquitoes.
mosquitoes. And
It was hot. I think it was September, so it might as well have been middle of the summer.
yeah.
think
I can vividly remember.
I think it was so hot we had sweated through our shirts, and we're back there, probably violated Chiquita's code of ethics, fashion code by going topless in the back of a banana container.
Now, did y'all have like all the fancy hydration multipliers that are, used by workout enthusiasts and stuff like that back then?
yeah,
Or
we
what were you hydrating with? Were you-
well, okay. That
What was your
part-
hydration?
That part of the story is not part of this podcast. But just
I lost some weight during that inspection process. I'm not sure we had a whole lot of technology out there.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure we really did a whole lot of heavy-duty analysis as we tried to figure out what bananas were actually going to make it to HEB, if we're allowed to say that, where those bananas were going.
well, we might as well. That was years ago.
That was
all the
years-
people that
years
were
ago.
involved with the business back then are long since gone. So out of the business. So,
Statute of limitations.
yeah. So I'm sure the process has improved considerably since those days. That was old school, young days. But look at Andrew now. Andrew has grown up to be a CEO of Markon, pushing produce out to
We're still pushing produce. That's
still
right,
pushing
Craig.
produce out to all
That
the
much
restaurants.
remains the same.
Yeah, and he came by way of so Andy's had a cut. So we did the Chiquita gig together,
We did.
and we've had plenty of different folks and experiences and met a lot of people, and then we joined up again. The band got back together again at IFPA Systems.
Yeah, I actually followed Craig over to IFCO. I can't remember exactly what his recruiting pitch was. But it's like, hey,
So what I
I think this
wanted
is going to work.
What, yeah, exactly. Well, what I want to know is when you called.
We might get rich
When
on
you
this.
called your dad. When you called your dad to tell him that you were making this move, didn't he tell you that maybe it wasn't your best career move?
Yeah, I think it was probably at the time where I think right after IFCO had a certain immigration issue.
Oh,
that
that's
was
right.
going
Yeah,
on
that was after that.
in New York State.
Yeah.
That it was a little bit controversial. Probably wouldn't have made the move if I knew about what was going on right there. But I had already committed my word to Fred Heptonstall, who's our boss at Chiquita, and became our boss again, or my boss again at IFCO. And Fred is very convincing and great sales guy. Fred, if you're out there listening.
Yeah. Well, I got to be sure he gets a copy of this. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make sure it won't do any. Fred, Slade, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But
Yeah, that's one of Andy's many talents too. So Andy
Impressions.
is Mr. Impression guy, right? So I don't think he's very good at doing me.
Nah. Hey, like I say, Ed, we're going to get this thing started.
He does it pretty good.
Does it sound good?
It's in the spirit.
Is it?
It's in the spirit. It's not so much like the exact tone, but
I don't think
it's
I've got
more cadence.
Do
than
I have
anything.
a twang like that? Do I have a?
You don't listen to the podcast? That's right. He doesn't listen.
Yeah,
That's the problem. You need to listen more. Yeah.
Yeah. Then I would hear that, right?
It'll straighten right out.
So do you do Ed? Although he's not terribly distinctive, he's very polished.
Serious.
Yeah.
Let me think of an ad one on the fly here.
Okay.
All right. Here on this, this IFPA Invitational, all ties will be broken by. We're going to take the back nine, the lowest handicap holes. Please excuse my white tight pants that I'm wearing.
That's not very good.
He hasn't had the white tight pants in a while, since it's clean eating, I mean, I used to love how I used to show up.
You know what? Just for that, I am going to share one of the times where Andrew actually got a little terse. Somebody had tried to
Andrew
explain.
Terse?
Yeah, somebody tried to explain something to him that stated that it was very complicated, and he said something like, I took 6 different calculus classes at Georgia Tech. I think I can figure it out.
I don't remember that one, Ed, but
does
I
it sound
believe
like
you.
something you would've said?
Because you're right. I did take 6 different calculus classes at Georgia Tech, so I think just by nailing that number, I'm gonna vouch
And
for the
I'll never
accuracy
forget
of that.
that. It was one of the funniest things I ever heard because he said it straight-faced and dead serious. Now, I know inside he was about to blow up, but he kept his composure.
So my many thanks to calculus, because calculus was where my career choice changed. So I sat through a week, maybe 2 weeks of calculus in college, and I realized, you know what? Programming computers does not look like that good of a gig after all. I got to pick a new path because I'm not going to do this. So, 6 different calculus. I didn't know they had 6 different courses in calculus. Or did you just fail it 5 times and it took you 6 times to get through? Which is it?
Well, they have calculus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the 6th one in the series is called differential equations.
I've heard of differential equations, yes.
I bet you have.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I haven't studied much in that department, so.
We use it all the time in produce,
Craig,
Craig.
it's remedial calculus.
So, I mean, by the time you get to the 6th one, I mean, for crying out loud, Einstein's your teacher.
There were a lot of nerds at Georgia Tech. So we had a lot of wannabe Einsteins. I'm sure over
is that
there.
right? Yeah, so.
There are people that actually enjoy mathematics. Believe it or not.
I enjoyed mathematics up to a point, up until all of a sudden, we got into that part of the calculus. Too many formulas, too much going on there. That's another remarkable talent. This guy, you know what? Especially sports facts, baseball, holy Toledo, golf, memory like crazy memory.
Calculating rise over run.
Hey, you're ready for calculus now.
I think though I would agree with Cindy. Most of his memory retention is in useless information.
Yeah, I was going to say that's exactly what my wife would say, that I don't remember things that matter.
Yeah, exactly. So, so no, Andy. Great careers working with him through my IFPA days, with the Chiquita days. We had a lot of fun. But I think we may be, we may just be doing podcasts together. Maybe our only joint ventures.
That's the only thing. I didn't follow you to Sunfed. I didn't follow you on the on
exactly.
the microphone.
Yeah. So now it's on the podcast stuff. So
you think you'd be willing to do like a man about town type reporter in the field type thing for
Andy?
us? Yeah.
Hire him out?
Yeah.
He might.
Yeah.
Sideline reporter.
I like that.
I'm not good looking enough to be a sideline reporter.
Oh, come
Marv
on.
Albert.
Yes, it counts.
That might be the best one.
Yeah.
Welcome to Behind the Greens, devoted to quality, consistency, and an ever-evolving perfect produce program. Nogales, Arizona-based Sunfed is at the top of its game with fruit and vegetables produced by some of the world's finest growers. With the increasing demand for more flavorful and nutritious cuisine, Sunfed is ramping up its eggplant program in the fertile soil of the Culiacan region of northwestern Mexico. The versatile vegetable is triple washed and packed in state-of-the-art facilities in order to bring a consistently dependable and superior product to market. Like all of Sunfed's produce offerings, perfect eggplants are grown in both a sustainable and responsible way, ensuring that not only the product is cared for, but the people as well. To ensure food safety standards are not only met, but exceeded, the company has established its own internal food safety standards and audits, administered by Sunfed's food safety specialists, while Primus Labs conducts field testing utilizing multi-residue screening. And food safety isn't the only topic that is top of mind for Sunfed. In addition to having pioneered innovative packaging for eggplant under the Perfect Produce brand, Sunfed has pursued advancements in extending shelf life with modified atmosphere/modified humidity packaging. For the customer that buys first with their eyes, this eye-catching, original campaign will bring both differentiation and quality to produce departments. Thank you for watching Behind the Greens.
I think you do Harry Carey too, don't you?
Diamond spelled backwards is nomad.
Oh my God. He could go all day, folks. But so so Andy is also an avid golfer, right? And
We had to kind of keep that a secret at IFPA because Fred didn't really like golf. Too much.
Yeah, it really wasn't much of a kept secret. We just
poorly kept secret.
Yeah, for sure. But here in so you just moved up here to Northern Cal,
right? Been here about a year with the whole family.
Yeah. So, what do you think? Now you were Southern. It wasn't like you moved from, some stinky town to come up here, right? You didn't come from.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you came from a bad spot, right?
Yeah, we had a really nice spot. We were in the San Diego area.
Yeah, and all the way up here to Northern Cal. So what do you think? I mean, you're in golf mecca.
Yeah, it's a great place for golf. Not exactly bargain golf.
No.
As somebody I know who likes to stretch his dollar, and I'll admit I'm one of those.
Are you a dollar stretcher?
I'm one of those with you, Craig. Tanya's in here. Laura can attest.
Yeah, the whole family
back
can.
there. Everybody knows.
We come out of church.
Hey, y'all get waters here.
Exactly, that's the story. I was going to tell you. Ask Laura to tell you if I would go begrudgingly, telling you like we're going out for Sunday, after church, we're taking the kids out. I'd say the rule was okay, but nobody gets tea, nobody gets Coke. If we're going out to eat, everybody has to drink on it. That's a true story.
Drinks are for suckers.
What? We're crying out loud.
Hey, this is a food service business. You gotta at least act like you want to support it a little bit more.
I was supporting them on the stuff that mattered, the vegetables, the produce. I just
That's
$2
where you make all the money, right?
$2.25 tea for crying out loud. I know what I can make.
And then you got a tip on that too, Craig, don't you?
Yeah. Well, no, I actually I had them separate the drinks so that didn't fall into the tip category. So I had the whole strategy.
Wow.
That, so. We digress. I don't know how we round up into my cheap after church.
How do we one buffet plate? One buffet.
It's not hard to digress with this one.
Church, lunch, dinners, but Northern Cal, you love it here, right? So.
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
There's not as much traffic as Southern California. I think that's a big a big draw. Although where we lived in kind of North County, San Diego, it wasn't particularly bad traffic in that area, which is rare. So we love living down there. It was a great spot. It's probably, for my wife and kids, probably their favorite place they've lived. But it is very beautiful up here. We're blessed to be close to the ocean. Right here in an incredible growing area. Lots of kind of friends, colleagues close by. So it's a good spot.
Yeah.
So we've enjoyed being up here.
Yeah, and then we could yuck up all day stories and all that kind of stuff. But before we get you out, I want to make sure we touch a little bit on the business, because you're in a spot, you're with a company that is front and center on when the pandemic hit. You were front and center. Your group was at the front and center of how tough it was.
Right.
Basically had to close their businesses, or the restaurants had to close, and people weren't going out, and had to change the dynamic. So how do you see things, or how are things kind of now? What's your perspective? I know what I see, and we talked about this earlier. I'm seeing people eating. I'm seeing the restaurants coming back. I got to believe the numbers there. But what do you guys?
Yeah,
experiencing?
it's been a great period of recovery. It hasn't always been a uniform recovery. Some areas recovered faster than others. Texas had about a 2-week break, and they were back at it. Maybe Florida and Georgia 2.5-week break, and they were back at it. And Canada and California, and some other areas, it's taken a lot longer to kind of get exactly back to where they had been in the past. But it's definitely trending in the right direction. There have been a lot of challenges out there for food service industry, and particularly restaurants. Some areas are still hospitality industry. I think it's still not anywhere close to being back to where at one point they were before the pandemic.
When you say hospitality, what all falls under that? Is that concerts? Is that?
Yeah, you got kind of like catering and hotels and big banquets, and those type of events just aren't anywhere close to the same level where they were before. And that's probably the longest road back. Some of the other challenges on just regular restaurants, are kind of the variables and challenges we've heard many times before. A lot of them involve labor, a lot involve inflation, and that's made it really tough for a very beleaguered sector of the economy that really doesn't have really they're lobbying arms, and there's National Restaurant Association and folks that are kind of vouching for those guys, fighting for these guys, but they don't have the same kind of political or lobbying support that some of the on the retail side, some of the big multi-billion-dollar retailers have. So it's been tougher, I think, for a road for those guys, but I'm encouraged. I think the word I'd use is sanguine about, in spite of the headwinds out there, that we're going to continue to see some improvement. Of course, there's an argument, and Mr. Economist here, Mr. CNBC, Craig Slate, I want to be the first guy on both sides watching the class.
That's a fact, yeah.
Are we in a recession? Maybe. Maybe some parts of the economy are. Maybe some areas of the country are. Definitely, the restaurant industry doesn't want to see a recession.
Yeah.
And because when you've got disposable income, people are looking where can they cut back, and sometimes that is you're cut out going out to eat, and we don't want to see that. So, it's a tough battle. We've got just an insidious inflation out there that they were slow to act on, and now the Fed is trying to whittle that down. But now it's pretty difficult to knock something down that's kind of gone out of control.
I don't know if you're throwing like a third rail out there for me, when you start talking about the Fed. And
do we want to segue into another
freaking
Craig Slade?
Yeah, do you want me to get on a soapbox and talk about that? No,
that might be for a follow-up.
You think that
you
should
start going down that path? We're gonna go over.
Yeah,
but the labor comment that Andy made was interesting, because I saw it with my own eyes the other night. I was in a hotel restaurant / bar, and it was completely packed, and we got kicked out. And I think obviously they might have been short on staff, or long on hours, etc. There's willing customers and participants out there waiting to patronize restaurants.
Yeah, and they're kind of cut back by just the constraint of labor, and they don't want to overwork somebody one night because then they're not going to come back the next night, and that's a difficulty that's certainly not like it was pre-pandemic. You just didn't have that constraint out there in most places.
Yeah, and so the demand is absolutely there, and it's a challenge, and I can't imagine. We talk about cost increases, the input costs, and we talked a lot about that. But for you guys, your restaurants, you that are out there trying to make it, it's hard to pass on the amount of cost increases that are out there. It's not only don't have the labor sometimes to do the service, but for crying out loud, some of the stuff is up substantially, and trying to pass that on. Not to mention fuel costs and everything else. And
I was recently at a function. It was kind of a round table panel from one of our Markon members, Shamrock, out of Phoenix, and they're our kind of westernmost member of the Markon family, and they had different restaurateurs out there, and they were talking about at the end of the day they're having to take kind of less margin
are getting compressed
in order to kind of strike that balance to ensure they don't upset their customers coming in, and without too much sticker shock on the menu prices. And it's a difficult kind of balance out there that if it's a tough business, and if you don't manage it well, restaurants you can find yourself going out of business pretty fast.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like I say, as we went through the pandemic and being locked in, everybody's so thrilled to be back out, and don't want to see that go back. Don't want to go backwards for sure. So
absolutely not.
Yeah. So you mentioned the family just real quick, and we're starting to get up against the time, and I know you got to get out of here. You got to go. I think you're winning something. Did you win a car?
I don't think
Did
I'm
you win
winning
a car?
something. Yeah, that's
what he
it.
did.
You'll see me driving a new car home.
Well, you I know you drive cars for a little while before you sell out them, so you probably are due a car.
Do we need to get into this economic discussion of assets which appreciate and those that depreciate?
No, let's don't go into.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
But no, but I did want. So the Markon family, who makes up? What makes up?
Yeah, we've got 4 members, and I mentioned Shamrock on
Yep.
the West Coast. We've got Nicholas and company. They're in kind of the Intermountain West. Then Benny Keith is in your homeland of
Texas.
I know
Texas,
Benny Keith
as
well,
as
yeah.
kind of the Mid-South and some of the Southeast. And then Gordon Foodservice, they're out of Western Michigan, but they go Texas all the way to Florida, up the Atlantic coast, and then they're coast to coast in Canada.
So amazing. That's my
Yeah, so they're our largest member.
and that's Gordon.
Gordon Foodservice.
Yeah,
Yep.
so. Well, Andy, I don't know, Ed. You want any golf tips? You got any
I was
questions?
actually just thinking about Benny Keith, some of my favorite offices I've ever been in, because they're big.
That's right. That used to be one of
Western
your
art,
customers.
like sculptures and all that stuff. Pretty cool places.
Yeah. So. Yeah, very familiar with Benny Keith. Been around. They're in Fort Worth, technically.
They're
right?
in Fort Worth.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah. So, but anyway, no, Andy, it's man, it's been a pleasure working with you over the years for sure. I do. I think a lot of you, and we although we don't share all things similar, we do share some things in similarity. It's always a blast to be with you and hanging out. Love your family. Great, you got a great family, and like I say, I'm hoping they watch this, right? Because
even my daughter's got a nickname for Craig.
What's that?
Craig, my daughter is autistic, and she's a special needs kid, but so she kind of tells it as it is.
He doesn't cut well.
And
Yeah.
Tanya and Granger both got to hear this in person, which I think they cherished, frankly. And after hearing Craig at a party, kind of a cookout last summer, Craig talking, telling stories for the better part of an hour or two. My daughter Sarah looked at my wife and said, "Craig Long Talker." She nodded, trying to kind of figure this guy out.
Yeah.
Like I got this guy figured out. He's a long talker.
Craig Long Talker, yeah. So, yeah, the family's actually pitching to get shirts made for me, Craig Long Talker. So,
I'll sign up for that.
Yeah, I figured you might. So there's a lot of people that'll be in for that. So.
Yeah.
But Andy, I know you do have to go, buddy. I really appreciate the time.
Thanks, Andy.
and
Well, it's been great.
Appreciate
Just
it.
like, yeah, like we were in that Chevy Avalanche, or
just like exactly.
Yeah.
It's not any different, right? So, and I
Might
know
be
you're
a-
I know you're dying to tell the story about the Chevy Avalanche and
Well,
how
we're gonna have a-
baseball bat.
we're gonna-
baseball bat.
Maybe Laura could tell that
Yeah,
story.
or the
She
axe
came
handle.
on
It's an
the
axe handle.
axe
Well,
Well,
handle.
no, you
Okay.
can commit to a follow-up. We'll just do a follow-up when we get
Please.
back home.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll have part 2.
Come back
Part
in.
2.
All right, brother. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks,
Eddie.
guys.
And
It's been a
guys, we'll be
pleasure.
back. We got our next.
Hang tight.
we
We'll
got
be
the
back.
mystery guest coming up. We'll all find out who it is. So we'll see you in a bit.